Hey guys, we're here at E3. I'm here with my friend Marty, who's
Hey guys.
definitely the same height as me.
Yep, absolutely.
Marty, you saw Watch Dogs 2?
Yeah, I got to play Watch Dogs 2.
Oh my god, how is it?
It's amazing. So Lana flew to Montreal and saw it. She didn't get to play it. I got to play it, and one of the things that stood out to me most is that they sort of streamlined the controls, and it's a little bit more arcadey, but in a really good way. The driving controls feel just super tight and fun, and not really realistic, but that's sort of fine when you're driving down the massive hills and twists and turns of San Francisco. They really streamlined the way hacks work in the game, and there's more of them, there's a better variety of them, but they're really easy to do and you have a longer battery life, and so I felt like it encouraged experimentation a lot more. I was driving down the Embarcadero and I was just targeting a bunch of different things, and I would just be like, what does that do? What does that do? And all of a sudden a manhole would explode, and I'm like, what does that do? And all of a sudden a car runs backwards. I'm like, what does that do? And a power light explodes. I'm like, this is awesome. And it's one of those things where they said, hey, you don't have to do the story mode in this game. You can fully upgrade your character without ever touching a story mission. And given the fact that it's in San Francisco, that just makes me want to jump in that city and do things like that.
I mean, that's the thing. So you mentioned the change of setting.
Yes.
I felt like the first Watch Dogs had a really good way of letting you feel like you could control everything.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco is so much more techy. How does that change of setting affect things?
Oh, it totally does. And every person and sort of object in the game is connected, and so a lot of the ways you're interacting and hacking is actually by sort of daisy chaining a bunch of things together, and you can almost let off these little kind of smart bombs of hacks where everything in the area is messed up, and so everyone receives a text that all of a sudden it's a terrible text, and so all these people start freaking out, and so you can cause mass hysteria. It's just a really, it made the act of hacking more fun, and I'm interested to see how that ties in with the story, because the Bay Area is so rife with a juxtaposition between the haves and the have-nots, and the tech culture and the counterculture, and I'm really curious to see how that plays in with the story and with the lead hero Marcus, who's in my opinion a lot more interesting and sort of fun than Aiden was. Aiden was sort of a wet blanket.
Let's think, Aiden is nothing. Aiden is just for the character. It seems like Marcus has a story, which is really interesting. Probably the most interesting thing about San Francisco is that we live there.
Yes.
Do you did you find areas you knew? Did it feel authentic?
Totally. It was weird. Looking at the map, it's definitely a little squished and pulled it a little bit, and you gotta rejigger some things.
They moved the Golden Gate Bridge a little bit, it looks like.
But it has the full Bay Area. It has Marin. It has Oakland. It has South Bay. But I got to drive around Coit Tower, which is that famous tower that sort of looks like a cigarette. I got to drive down to the Embarcadero and to Fisherman's Wharf. And these were all things. I'm driving down the Embarcadero, which is you live right off the Embarcadero.
Right by our office. Yeah, exactly.
right by our office. And I'm like, oh, this looks exactly like what I saw. This is awesome. And then we went to Oakland and we got to go to Lake Merritt, which is this tiny, just super cute lake I used to live next to. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool that they put this in the game. And I know most people who are watching this are like, I don't live in a city that they've ever made a game out of. But when you do, you're like, oh, this is awesome. I just want to exist in this world. And I don't want to go out in my actual world. I kind of want to go to actual Lake Merritt.
Sit in your house and hack things and cause car accidents.
Amazing. Yeah.
Just like when you're at home.
Yep, just like real life.
Awesome. That sounds great. Marty, thank you.
Of course.
Watch Dogs 2 is out in November. For everything about hacking in San Francisco and new protagonists and everything else.
We're not going to do hacking anymore.
Keep it locked right here to IGN.